star in heaven. Blue eyes crying in the rain. Someday when we meet up yonder, we'll stroll hand in hand again in the land that knows no parting. Blue eyes crying in the rain. Blue eyes crying in the rain.
Hello, darling. Nice to see you. It's been a long time. You're just as lovely as you used to be. How's your new love? Are you happy? Hope you're doing fine. Just to know it means so much to me. What's that, darling? How am I doing? I'm doing all right, except I can't sleep and I cry all night till dawn. What I'm trying to say is I love you and I miss you, and I'm so sorry that I did you wrong. Look up, darling, let me kiss you, just for old time's sake. Let me hold you in my arms one more time. Thank you, darling. May God bless you, and each step you take bring you closer to the things you seek to find. Goodbye, darling. I gotta go now. Gotta try to find a way to lose these memories of a love so warm and true. And if you should ever find it in your heart to forgive me, come back, darling, I'll be waiting for you.
Busted flat in Baton Rouge, heading for the train, feeling nearly faded as my jeans. Bobby thumbed the diesel down just before it rained, took us all the way to New Orleans. I took my harpoon out of my dirty red bandana and was blowing sad while Bobby sang the blues. With them windshield wipers slapping time and Bobby clapping hands, we finally sang up every song that driver knew. Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. Nothing ain't worth nothing, but it's free. Oh, but feeling good was easy, Lord, when Bobby sang the blues. And feeling good was good enough for me. good enough for me and Bobby McGee. From the coal mines of Kentucky to the California sun, Bobby shared the secrets of my soul, standing right beside me, Lord, through everything I'd done. And every night she kept me from... You placed gold on my finger. You brought love like I've never known. You gave life to our children, and to me a reason to go on. You're my bread.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand?
When I'm hungry, you're my shelter from troubled winds. You're my anchor in life's ocean, but most of all, you're my best friend. When I need hope and inspiration, you're always strong when I'm tired and weak. I could search this whole world over, you'd still be everything that I need. You're my bread when I'm hungry. You're my shelter from troubled winds. You're my anchor in life's ocean, but most of all, you're my best friend. You're my bread when I'm hungry. You're my shelter from troubled winds. You're my anchor in life's ocean, but most of all, you're my best friend.
Down there in the shed, I know there's something that I need. I haven't seen it now for ages, but I know it'll do the deed. Whether it's a bit of steel that's sort of shaped like this, or a little plastic fitting that's easy for me to miss. Each time I clean the shed up and put my things away, I know where I put them, but this is another day. The trick, you see, is to sweep the floor and move things round a bit, just so you can reach the door without a claustrophobic fit. The working space is the size I need, because that's all the room I've got. If it was any bigger, I'd probably lose the bloody lot. I've cupboards full of bits and pieces and heaps of electric tools. It's enough to write a thesis on how to make shed owners drool. But you see, it doesn't really matter if the shed is clean or not. The main thing is you're happy in your private little spot. Because when you're in your shed, the world can pass you by. And I hope that when I'm dead, there's a shed up in the sky. Ladies and gentlemen, today there will be laughter, hopefully some smiles. I'm sure a few tears, but no regrets. Today we meet to celebrate the life of Barry Sharman, a husband, a dad, a father-in-law, a grandfather and great-grandfather, an uncle, and a friend. A man whose life was characterised by hard work, a marvellous mind that could build or fix anything, a love of fun and mischief, and being the life of any party, especially in his younger years. His love of a beer, or two, or three. His love of all things camping and fishing, hunting, muddy tracks and sitting around a campfire. And of course, his love and his dedication to his family, Lois, Marie, Michelle and Lee. And so I welcome each of you as we have gathered here this morning. My name is Simon, and along with all of the staff here at Parkside, we have been privileged to have been invited to care for Barry after his death and to be a part of this service. I would firstly like to take this opportunity to ask if anyone has not already done so, that they take a moment to turn their mobile phone off or onto silent as your mark of respect for Barry. At the conclusion of our service here in the chapel, we'll be moving to the cemetery, and after that the family warmly invite you to rejoin them back here in the chapel to share in a less formal time of remembering Barry's life over a cuppa, a bite to eat and a chat. I'm sure that there will be a beer to be found somewhere a little bit later as well. There are some who for varying reasons are unable to be here with us today, but who nevertheless are here with us both in spirit and in thought. And so I welcome you also. You may be watching this service via live stream or watching it at a later time. I think especially of son-in-law Mark, who is unable to join us. Barry was a man who loved Tassie, particularly his property at Cascade Road and later his home at Chasm Creek overlooking the sea. Barry was the loving and devoted husband to Lois, a loved dad to Marie, to Michelle and to Lee, a respected father-in-law of Mark and Nicolie, a loved pop of Adam and Edna, of Danica and Sean and Taylor, of Ryan and Sam, of Joel and Ashley, and Brooke and Sam, and of course Huey. The loved great pop of Spencer and little Archie, who is on the way. The loved son of Tasman and Doris, and a brother to Gwen, and a dear uncle to his nieces and nephews. And so today is a day that stories will flow. Stories that hopefully capture the essence of the man that was Barry Sharman. Stories that will make us laugh, remember things long forgotten, and remind us of an era that is past. The family have been busily preparing away in the background this last week, and they have asked me to share with you Barry's eulogy. And so let's take some time to stretch our proverbial legs and take a walk down memory lane. It was the 19th of September in 1943 that Tasman and Doris welcomed a bouncing baby boy, Barry Tasman, into their family. Barry completed their pigeon pair, a younger brother for Gwen. Growing up and attending school at Wagina, where the family had a dairy farm. The family moved to West Ridgeley when Barry was about 10 and continued with dairy farming and obviously milking cows. Barry and his father Taz worked together for Barry's early teenage years, contract hay cutting and land clearing. Upon leaving school, Barry's first job was with Regional Water as a machinery operator. He moved on to Ray Jones Construction, starting off on the end of a pick and a shovel, and later moving on to driving and operating trucks, dozers and scrapers. Barry loved country music, Slim Dusty, Johnny Cash, Charlie Pride, Don Williams, just to name a few. He taught himself to play the guitar. You will notice a bit of a pattern throughout Barry's story of him teaching himself how to do pretty much anything. In about 1961, at a slim dusty show at Somerset, Barry met a young lass by the name of Lois Kirkland. Barry popped the question, and Lois said yes in 1963 on Lois's 18th birthday. It was the best birthday present you ever received, wasn't it, Lois? They were married in the Somerset Baptist Church on the 17th of November 1965. The newly married couple moved into a unit in Upper Burney while they renovated a house on the Sharman family farm at West Ridgeley. It was a one-bedroom house, and they soon expanded it to become 3 bedrooms. And not a moment too soon, as the kids had started to arrive. Marie in 1967, followed by Michelle in 1970. Apparently, Marie's cot was behind the bedroom door, so she was well shielded from the goings-on. Barry worked hard, and I mean hard. He'd work all week for Ray Jones, and then he'd spend weekends building the pet dam. He was rarely home, and if he did manage any free time, he'd be off somewhere to wet a line. After 10 years working for Ray Jones, Barry's dad, Taz, took sick, and so Barry left employment and went back to help Doris on the farm. Barry loved farm work, except for the commitment of milking twice a day. He would turn up to the cowshed later and later each morning. Often Doris and the dogs would have half of the cows milked by the time Barry arrived. And so, figuring out that dairy farming wasn't for him, Barry returned to work for Jones and Street's construction. They sold up the house and the 6 acres at West Ridgeley, and they moved to Upper Burney. It was here that Lee joined the family in 1979. It was at about this time that Barry bought a truck of his own, and he had a driving contract with Fridgemobile delivering across the state. As I mentioned earlier, Barry taught himself everything. He would give a lot of thought into how to do something, how to fix something, how to build something before he embarked. But once, watching one of his sons-in-law struggling to assemble the kids' Christmas presents on Christmas Eve, Barry remarked, "You know, instructions are included for a reason." He built his first shack at the Great Lakes with the help of his mate Graham Hayes, and then later built a second one on his own, a little bit further around the bay. I'm sure Lois was a handy trade assistant when she was needed, and I'm told she was a pretty dab hand on a paintbrush. Barry could fix anything, especially if it had an engine. He loved Land Rovers and Range Rovers especially, and he lived by the motto, use it, abuse it, and then fix it. He bought and fixed up cars for Marie, for Michelle and Lee when they learnt to drive. Lee remembers his first car well, a Range Rover. And when he had an accident not long after getting his licence, Lee was pretty terrified of the trouble he was going to get in when he got home. But Barry just said, "Oh well, we'll just have to paint it again." But every day for the next few weeks, Barry would just slip into any conversation. "I've been driving cars and trucks for 40 years and I've never had an accident." I was told that Barry had a look, and when he used that look, it would send the kids running, almost shitting themselves. Marie remembers a time when she was learning to drive, driving Barry and Lois home from a party. They were a little bit under the weather, and Barry was in the passenger seat, and he wouldn't let Marie change up any gears past second, just saying, "That'll do." Barry had his foot crushed in an accident with a forklift at Peter's Ice Cream, and he was put out of action at work for a while. And so Andrew Ward took over driving for him while he recovered, and Andrew later went on to buy Barry's truck and his driving contract and taking over the business. After recovering, Barry started driving for David Rawlings. Barry and Lois bought the block at Cascade Road, and he started building their dream home. The family lived in the shed and a couple of caravans on site, while Barry, along with the help of his good mates, commenced building the house. It took about 18 months to complete, and the family lived here for some 30 years. As I'm sure you all know, Barry loved camping, fishing and hunting, and every chance he got, he'd be gone. In earlier years it was in tents, then he upgraded to caravans, and finally into motorhomes. Motorhomes that Barry built himself. It was important to him to always have the perfect setup and things just the way that he wanted them. Plus, it was always a bit cheaper if you could work it out and do it yourself. Barry was apparently too tight to pay anyone who could do something that he could do himself. Lee and Barry went camping one time at Lake Roallan, and they'd settled in by the fire one night. But Lee wanted to go and try for some blackfish, and so off they went. After catching a few, Barry was getting a bit sick of it. So he tossed the rest of the worms out into the scrub, and when it was time to rebait the hook, he said to Lee, "Oh shit, we're out of worms." I think the fire and a few beers were calling. Barry and Lois have covered just about every road in Tassie, I reckon, with their adventures. One time, Barry had gone off for a week of camping with his mates, and some of the wives, stuck at home with the kids again, thought that they'd hook up the spare van and take the kids camping over at the Wynyard Caravan Park. Well, Barry got bogged somewhere up the bush, and so they came home to get the spare four-wheel drive to tow the bogged one out, only to find that it wasn't there. It took him a while to track Lois and the kids down, and I don't think he was too happy about that. Barry had a few health issues starting to surface, and he was diagnosed with a heart condition and kidney cancer, resulting in the removal of one of his kidneys. I'm not sure if that limited his intake of beer or not. But after recovering from surgery, he went to work driving for Tim Garner, carting onions and scrap steel. One time, Barry was first on the scene of an accident when another driver carting onions lost his brakes going down the Kindred Hill. So Barry raced to check on the driver, and he was okay. Meanwhile, passers-by had started stopping and loading up bags and boxes with their free onions. So Barry yelled at them to piss off, "There's been an accident here," and he started picking up and throwing the onions at the freeloaders. About 7 years ago, Barry and Lois sold up the home at Cascade Road. It was starting to lose its country feel, and too many new places were being built up around them, and they found and purchased the home at Chasm Creek with its endless sea views, and they wish now that they had have done that years ago. But Barry didn't stay idle for long. There was work to do. There was landscaping and fencing out those bloody wallabies. I guess you're not allowed to fire a gun that close to the highway. In June 2019, Barry and Lois lost their middle daughter Michelle to cancer. Michelle fought for as long as she could, and her death was a huge blow to the family. Over the last 8 months, Barry's health had started breaking down again. The cancer that he'd once beaten had returned, and he lost his battle last Thursday, the 3rd of May, 2025.
Done us proud,
come this far, down through the years to where we are, side by side, hand in hand, we've lived and died for this great land. We've done us proud. I sailed the sea in search of freedom. I tilled the soil for seed to grow. I built the fences to hold the cattle. I mined the earth in search of gold. I sheared the sheep of golden fleeces. I formed a union to win fair pay. I built a railroad to cross the country. I fought a war for my country's sake. We've done us proud to come this far, down through the years to where we are, side by side, hand in hand, we've lived and died for this great land. We've done us proud. I kept a home and raised a family. I taught your children as if my own. I painted pictures to show the beauty. I wrote the stories to keep the flame. We've done us proud to come this far, down through the years to where we are, side by side, hand in hand, we've lived and died for this great land. We've done us proud. We've done us proud. I worked the factory, I worked the land, I built the houses, I made the plans, side by side. I drive the highway, I right the wrong. We've lived and died. I reach for glory for this great land. I sing the songs. We've done us proud to come this far, 200 years to where we are, side by side, hand in hand, we've lived and died for this great.
Let me die working, still tackling plans unfinished and tasks undone. Clean to its end, swift, may my race be done. No laggard steps, no faltering and no shirking. Let me die working. Let me die thinking. Let me fare forth still with an open mind, fresh secrets to unfold, new truths to find. My soul undimmed, alert, no question blinking. Let me die thinking. And let me die giving, the substance of life for life's enriching, time, things and self for others' service. No selfish thought, loving, helping, living. Let me die giving. They say that for some people nature can be their church, and I think that rings true for Barry. The bush, the lakes, the rivers, the creeks that Barry fished in and camped next to provided him with comfort and with solace. Barry believed that he would once again be reunited with all of those people that he has loved and lost in this life. And a little quote that I found says this: "The beautiful irony is that our loss is another's reunion." No one really knows what lies beyond death, but Barry had a deep faith in his version of heaven. And so, as a mark of respect to Barry and of his upbringing, would you please join me in saying the Lord's Prayer? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, for ever and ever. Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, as we prepare to leave the chapel, would you please stand?
Before you take another step, there's something you should know about the years ahead and how they'll be. You'll be living in a world where roses hardly ever grow. 'Cause all I have to offer you is me. There'll be no mansions waiting on the hill with crystal chandeliers, and there'll be no fancy clothes for you to wear. Everything I have is standing here in front of you to see. All I have to offer you is me. Sweetheart, I'll give you all my love in every way I can. But make sure that's what you want while you're still free. The only goal I have for you is in this wedding band. 'Cause all I have to offer you is me. There'll be no mansions waiting on the hill with crystal chandeliers, and there'll be no fancy clothes for you to wear. Everything I have is standing here in front of you to see. All I have to offer you is me.
coffee black, cigarette. Start this day like all the rest. First thing every morning that I do is start missing you. Some broken hearts never mend. Some memories never end. Some tears will never dry. My love for you'll never die. Rendezvous in the night, a willing woman to hold me tight. But in the middle of love's embrace, I see your face. Some broken hearts never mend. Some memories never end. Some tears will never dry. My love for you will never die. Some broken hearts never mend. Some memories never end. Some tears will never dry. My love for you will never die.
I love you because you understand, dear, every single thing I try to do. You're always there to lend a helping hand, dear. I love you most of all because you're you. No matter what the world may say about me, I know your love will always see me through. I love you for the way you never doubt me, but most of all I love you 'cause you're you. I love you because my heart is lighter every time I'm walking by your side. I love you because the future's brighter. The door to happiness you open wide. No matter what the world may say about me, I know your love will always see me through. I love you for 100,000 reasons, but most of all I love you 'cause you're you.